You don't need to go to grad school to learn how to talk to customers. Just like be empathetic and start simple and just start talking to your customers about what they need. I think that was kind of one of those kind of eye-opening moment. And I think that's kind of my recommendation to all teams today is just like I think that's the next slide here. Start simple. Just go start talking. Just to all the way from whether you have a very mature product and you want to know what to do next, or you're like starting a completely new product, you don't even know what you're going to build. Talking to customers, talking to users really kind of gives you a superpower in that sense.
Yeah, and I think it can be intimidating. I remember I started my career in brand design and interaction design on the marketing side. And I remember the first time I had to do a customer interview, I was intimidated. I did not go to grad school for research, and so this was like a very practical learning experience for me.
Sure.
But after I got through that and the first few reps, it really does get easier to do, and you can sort of improve, and we'll talk about that in a minute. But getting started, finding an opportunity to go talk to customers, finding a way to do that and way to do it consistently, I think is the most important first step. And then obviously there are ways to be much better and at doing that and more precise and all of those things. But what like getting over that first hurdle can be intimidating. I think it's just going and finding an opportunity to do it is good.
There's something magical about being able to see our customers address directly our product, a product that we have spent so much time and effort building. There's something magical about that. And honestly, one of the things that I've also seen, it builds so much more empathy for the users to continuously see their videos, to continuously hear from them. That empathy building builds so much more of the product sense within the organization that hundreds of pages of research report is not going to be able to do. And that's where I think a UXR team or people who have experience with UXR is helping build that scaffolding, helping make it easy to build that, make it easy to create those highlight reels, showing how to build that quickly. Is a really big advantage that UXR teams or other more senior people who are experienced researchers can bring into an organization.
Yeah, I think anything to decrease the level of effort to maintain the ongoing process, I think is sort of, I put in this bucket, automating recruitment, improving the repository. Right. I think all of these things are critical to really making this a habit. And I think about it as a habit, right? You put all the infrastructure and everything in place in order to make having a habit easy, or you make it hard to have a habit and it's easy to break. So I think of all this stuff as work to make habits easier to build. Yeah, I think if we zoom out, I like to think about the work of product. It's about being in and working to understand and organize and navigate fairly ambiguous spaces. And I think the word product sense can also be a little ambiguous, but is often mentioned as sort of like a critical part of a product manager's success criteria. You need to have a great product sense. You have to be able, and first, I think this applies to the entire team, not just the PM. So I want to make that caveat.
Right.
And the way I like to think about it and measure it is actually by thinking about the outcome. So if a person or a team has a good product sense, I generally think that means they'll make better decisions faster. We're often going to make the wrong decisions or get things wrong, but I think this increases the likelihood of making a good decision, and it increases the speed at which those decisions can be made. So that's sort of how I like think about product sense and what that means. And I also think it's something you develop by exposure to information and critical thinking and just pure repetitions. And so continuous research is a perfect complement in my mind. It's as a team, you're getting reps in front of the customer, you're getting information, you're thinking critically and organizing that. And all of that is sort of like generating this team understanding of the customer so that when a decision is presented to you, you have an initial intuition based on all that information about what you should do, where you should go. And so I think for me, and the team that I'm a part of has really sped up our process as we do that. And so if going back to your initial question, I think speed and decision-making are how people often judge product teams. And so if we can say, hey, this contributes to the quality and speed at which we're making decisions, and you can sort of show that through the work that you do, I think there's a strong case to be made for why it can be part of the tool set that you're using.
How does a solo researcher get started with balancing coaching, sharing insights, helping with roadmaps, conducting studies? We have given a lot. It's, to be honest, like, it's true. We have given a lot to the researchers. Like, not only do you have to do like your own research, you have to build a research roadmap. You have to coach people. You have to build the infrastructure. How do you balance those from a product perspective, Paula? How do you think UXR should balance their responsibilities?
This one's so hard. I think it's very company dependent, depending on where they are in their own maturity, where you might be able to have the most leverage as a researcher, whether that's doing strategic research or coaching other people because there's lots of research going on. So I think about this as like a very dependent on the environment you're in. I share one anecdote. When the head of research joined user interviews for the first time, I think her approach was she did a strategic research project and then she looked for ways to create leverage by doing templates, by evangelizing practices, and so that was her focus. It was like part strategic research, part coaching, pretty much. And then over time, that turned into roadmaps and more of these other things that are on this list.
Yeah, and so I speak to a lot of like powders and UXRs both. I think one of the best leverage activities that UXR can do is, as you said, like, the coaching piece. Look, all of us have a day job, and UXRs are expected to do these big strategic projects, and that's kind of something that they have to do. But along with that, I think the most leveraged exercise that I've seen a lot of our good UXRs that I admire, UXR leaders that I admire, are helping other people do research through coaching, through building out those templates. I think that's a close second to me for as a core responsibility for the researchers. When do you think this habit of continuous discovery becomes a strategic advantage for an organization?
I think I talked about like at the individual squad level, the product sense, the decision making. I think that's immediately a strategic advantage for teams, right? I think moving quickly, shipping product, those can be advantages on their own. You want to be making better decisions. So I think that's one part of it. I think the other part of it is we've got a lot of people in the organization who don't have a chance to talk to customers, don't have direct access or time. And these kinds of things, sharing them broadly with the organization, making them available, making them searchable, gives some of that information and power to the rest of the organization to make their own decisions. And I think that can be really critical, right? Everyone's making lots of decisions all the time. And so making information available to people to make those better decisions, I think, is like another key part of this.
Yeah, I think that's kind of where the journey comes a full circle. Not only are you making better decisions, but is your organization making better decisions because of the fact that you're talking to customers. And to do that, making it easy to discover what was being discussed, not through just like research reports and Google Slides. And that's a good first place to start, but making it easy for them to discover as existing research, existing conversation. Maybe it wasn't tagged, or maybe it didn't even have, we were not even discussing a topic, but it came up and a customer was really passionate about it. But make it easy to discover those conversations that we have already had, and making those conversations central pillar to all sorts of decision making, I think is something where good teams really shine and turn this discovery habit into a very strategic advantage that goes beyond, in my experience, beyond just product. It can help you with your strategy. It can help you with your positioning. It can help you with your pricing. It can help all sorts of decision making beyond product. And it starts with one person starting to talk to customers on an ongoing basis. To me, honestly, like, are we talking to people regularly is itself a metric that we should follow, right? To me, the impact of continuous discovery is that we get continuous discovery. It's kind of like a tautology in a certain sense. I love this analogy of I think Ben Horowitz mentioned that the idea of a good company is that it's a good company. There is no end. is not really like, what is the impact of a good company? The impact of a good company is a good company. It's the same way. The impact of continuous discovery is better decision and more data-driven decisions. But there is no way to measure that. It's just, as you said, product sense. It's a better product sense. We're building a better product sense. This is something that I really, really love. Christina